Alvin and Sensational. You see that phrase?
Yeah, I just recognize that.
Alvin and Sensational. Yes. You like that, huh?
Yeah. Love it. Love it. That's who she is.
That's who she is.
That's who she is.
She is definitely a beauty. And I tell her this every time I see her. I be like, "You're so pretty, Sister Dan." Don't I say that a lot? And she be like, "Oh," like shooing me off like a fly. But she is. You did a good job.
Listen, I said more than you do, you know, and I talk all the time, you know.
All right.
Don't I tell you all the time? Yeah. So she's so modest.
Hey.
Huh?
We ain't started yet, but speak on how important that is to tell the wife all the time. Go ahead.
Oh man, it's like biblical. It's Proverbs 31. Many daughters have done excellent, but thou excellest them all. You know what I mean? Yeah. And let her husband praise her in the gates when he sit among the elders of the city. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things you do. And make sure you taunt and echo and punctuate the beauty, the quality, the value of a woman. It's everything, you know. It's a way of paying her emotional wages too. You know what I mean? She got to get paid the lady. That's what that's what Solomon say. Pay the lady. You know, give her the fruit of. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I was listening to a speaker today, man, and they were in Ruth, and they were talking about Ruth, and you got a lot of ladies that are ladies that are waiting on a Boaz. They said you can't get a Boaz unless you know Ruth's side, you know Ruth's story. You know Ruth, she stayed out on that field all day, and she just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and God placed her there, you know, in order for Boaz to, like who is that? You know what I'm saying? And so that's your sensational.
Yeah. We were just talking about you know how favor works, right? We was having our own little Bible thing. And we were saying like what does favor look like? What does favor look like? You know what I mean? People be saying, yeah, I'm blessed kind of favor, but what does favor look like? And so that right there, when you said how Ruth, you know, the Bible says she found grace in the eyes of Boaz. Favor, grace and favor, the same thing. And there was something about her that kind of stood out. And long before the Isley brothers came along, he said, "Who's that lady?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an aura. It's something that protrudes. It ain't got nothing to do with you. Other people can see it, even see it yourself. So she's saying, "Oh, stop. But we can't see it. Huh?
Yeah. Boaz said, man, hey, out of all of them, say y'all don't bother that. You know, in so many ways, he said that belongs to me.
That belongs.
Don't that yet. He said that belongs to me or what have you. So it's kind of falls in place what you guys got going on, man.
Listen, long before MC Hammer, don't make me see y'all can't touch this. You know what I mean?
We appreciate y'all for coming out, taking out time out your busy schedule. We was just shooting the breeze, giving people a chance to get on here and get loaded up. Y'all, we about to get started. We got the Alvin, and Sensational that we're going to be interviewing and getting some wisdom and some insight from on tonight. Thank you for joining the Neil's Uphill show where we talk about marriage, relationships, and other stuff, right? And we believe that there are 3 ways you can live your life: sinking, surviving, or thriving. And we don't want sinking. Sinking is culture's way, right?
Right.
Surviving is church's way. Church as we know, not as God intended, right? Because we church, we just be, oh, I'm too blessed to be stressed. That's the church answer, right? Because you're still stressed. You're just saying that you're just getting by with that.
Right.
And then we also that thriving, that's the king's way. When you letting the king, y'all know who the king is, right? The king ain't you, king ain't me. We know who the king is. When we live our life the king's way, right? That's when we're thriving. We getting that John 10:10. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Preach.
We want the couples, we want the single people, because this show is not just for married folks, it's for the single too as well. It's about relationship, period, right? You can't get life right and relationships wrong. So it's about relationships, period, right? And so we want everybody to understand there's a way that we do this thing out here called life, right? And we want to be guided by, right? He's not just our savior, he's our king, our guide, you know. And so when we can do stuff the king's way, we can have that abundant life that he talks about. When we get to understanding that. And so I just want all of y'all to don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I want y'all to, after you finish watching this live, go ahead on, give me, the time to get it uploaded to my page, get it uploaded to the page, and y'all go ahead on and watch it on that. And don't forget to hit that like, that comment, and that subscribe. We're gonna go ahead on and get started. Fred, you got something you wanted to say?
No, I think we pretty much said enough though, man. I'm still stuck on Al. He was down in well, he was actually up here in North Carolina. It seemed like recently, and then of course his last event that we were a part of was in Atlanta, man. And you just tore the stage up, Doc. I don't even want to start to paraphrase on some of the stuff that you said, man, because you just in your word, Doc. You live your word. You speak your word. I mean, it's just, you can tell that you're seasoned. You're still a young man, but you're still seasoned, Doc. I mean, a lot of cats can't flow like you flow. First of all, you're smooth to begin with. I mean, the only cat I know that can wear slides, hard bottoms, but with no socks. You know what I'm saying? So, you're the smoothest cat on the earth, Doc. So this is an honor and a privilege, man. But y'all need to go back and watch that episode where he did it at Renaissance at Nehemiah. He struck some nerves. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it as that.
He ripped the stage. Fred, did you just see him do his? He ain't got no tie, but he did his shirt like he
smooth.
Yeah, he did his shirt like he got a tie. Yeah. Did you see that?
All too much. Hey, glory to God, man. We was blessed to be used. Appreciate all the kind words, know. And we kind of blessed in the spirit over here, man. Both of us, Appreciate y'all. And y'all, let me let everybody know. Y'all, one of our favorite couples too, man. We just love Fred and Kelly. Yes. Y'all been our faves for a long time. Yes. And we just love you with the love of the Lord, how you work together. Your symbiosis. We appreciate this platform that you have. This is powerful. We've been watching it. And Fred patting himself on the chest. He ain't got no tie, but he doing like this too.
No, that's just love.
Okay, yeah. And we just love and adore y'all. We just really do. You're gifted in all kind of ways. And I've been trying to get Kelly to put me in one of them groups and stuff like that. That ain't happened yet, but we still working on it. Yeah. But we love y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Yes. Yeah, that goes both ways, man. I appreciate that.
We love y'all. So listen, we're gonna go ahead on and get started, right? But I always start the show with the who's most likely to, right? And so in this little section, we just want to show our viewers that it's a safe space. We want to just start off lightening up with the the mood a little bit with it's kind of funny because it's funny to see what couple, when we do this with the couples, who thinks who is really doing what, right? And so the way you play the game is you cannot think long about the answer. You're just supposed to quickly just point to whoever. If it's you, go ahead on. Self-awareness, point to you. If it's you. If it's your spouse, point to the spouse.
Okay.
You got me?
Okay, like Adam and Eve did. Like Adam did like that. Mm-hmm. Like that. Oh, it's easy. We can't. Hey, Fred, we were born doing that. Yeah. It was up.
That way. Yeah.
All right, y'all ready?
Y'all gonna have us fighting.
Ready. Let's go.
What you say, Sensational?
Y'all gonna have us fighting.
No.
No.
No, not.
Hey, the good kind of fight.
Hey, not y'all sitting. Y'all won't be fighting.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Because I want to get to the.
Listen, I can't even tell there's two people there, man. Y'all so tight. in that Cadillac with that bench seat. You know, I can remember.
Yeah. What you know about it?
They had that Cadillac back in the day, man, and he had that bench seat, and
Yeah.
the dudes would pass by the dudes, and he said, man, me and my lady would be so close, man, dude. Just me, because like, oh, she with me. Sensational with you.
Man, we still got a bench seat in the car, man. What you know about it? You know what I mean?
All right, here we go. Y'all ready?
Ready.
Just a couple. So, who is most likely to lock themselves out of the house?
Tell the truth now. You always losing your keys.
Is that the truth, Pastor?
That's true.
Who's the truth? Do it again.
Listen,
always losing your keys.
if I said it, you said most likely to get locked out of the house.
Right,
not
that
lose
same
keys.
thing, you lose your keys. Locked out of the
That's
house.
not the same thing.
Yes, it is.
You don't have to
Oh, they
lose
gonna
your
get us
keys
out.
to get locked out of the house.
How you gonna get in the house?
But she said locked
But
out.
how you gonna get in the house? You don't-
Like I said.
Okay. All right. Who is most likely to miss their flight because they
Alvin, I don't fly.
Oh, you need to finish the question? Go ahead.
Stop.
because they packed at the last minute?
Alvin, no, I've never missed a flight. You have.
But who's more likely, she said.
you messing this game all up.
Yes,
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Who is most likely to start a conversation with a stranger?
Start a
With
conversation with a
stranger?
stranger?
Oh.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's you? Sensation.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I just knew it would have been senior pastor here.
Mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Let's see. Who is most likely to lose their phone while it's in their hand?
So listen, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just keep my hand here.
No, because that's
Right. Keep rolling the questions. Just roll them out.
All right, we got one more. If y'all were to turn and just stare at each other right now, who is most likely to bust out laughing first?
Yeah, that'll be me. That's
Okay.
yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, that'll be me.
All right. So sister Sensation, you could do the stare down, huh?
I can. Yes, I can. I can stare. Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, I got a lot to laugh about, so you know. I
That's
just need to start laughing. That's it.
Is it laughing or blushing?
Both.
Oh, wow. I know they tell that story all the time, about when they were at the party and they went to Jesus and said, hey, listen, man, we out of wine or what have you. So Mary said, well, go get 2 jars and they'll fill the jars up or whatever. So they did that. But do it, Jesus would tell you. And so, they came to Jesus, like Jesus is the ABC or something, you know what I mean? So that's whole nother story. But so Jesus looked at the wine looked at Jesus looked at the wine, then all the wine started blushing. You know what I'm saying? That just reminded me of that story, So looking at over there, I just can see you just start blushing down.
Yeah, I like yeah.
You'll lose the stare down. So y'all want to tell us how did y'all meet? How did y'all get started?
Be right.
Go ahead, you tell me.
Be right. How we
Go
got
ahead,
started.
go ahead, tell them.
Well, I had left the church, you know, left the church, and my Sunday school teacher would come by my house looking for me to try to get me to come back to the church. So I wouldn't come. Every time he would see me in the out in the world, he would say, "Hey, Cynthia, you need to come back to church. Your husband is there." I said, "I'm not looking for a husband." So you need to stop procrastinating and come back to church. So I kept doing my thing out in the world. So my parents, they're very close. My mother and my father, very close. So they got a divorce. So I had a hard time dealing with it. And I came back to church. That's what brought me back to church, was the split up of my parents. So when I got back to church, I went up to the front and asked for prayer and rededicated my life. So the Sunday school teacher came up to me and said, "Cynthia, this is Alvin. Alvin, this is Cynthia." So this was the Alvin he was talking about. I had no interest in Alvin. At all, but Alvin ministered to me. So I was something. He was ministering to me. He was different. He wasn't your typical guy that I would expect to look at me or to show some liking. He was more concerned with my soul than he was with anything else. At least that's what I thought. He kept calling me, giving me scriptures to read, trying to encourage me to come back to church. So I did. I never did go back out. And then he had asked if he can take me on a date. I went on a date with him. What else happened? We went out a few times, and then it went quite fast because we fell in love later. He had asked me to be his girl, so I asked him how old was he. At that time, he was 21 and I was 25. So I said, "Ugh, I thought you was older." So I did, because I've always thought that I would end up marrying an older guy. So, but Alvin had the conversation of an older man, his demeanor. So I always thought he was older than I was. And but he told me he was 21, so it was kind of like too late because I started liking him.
Right.
So, and everything else was history, as how he's proposed to me as well. I'll let him talk about that part. But it was pretty much history after we, went on a few dates. And then he started wanting me to be his lady, his girl.
Come on, sir. Come on, sir.
Well, it was a starry night, No, ditto. She pretty accurate on it, right? I don't know if she said like she said right.
Not to you, to myself.
That ain't I don't think it was So I'm a new convert. I had just come into the church, and in fact, when I met her, I had been baptized for about 2-3 weeks.
Wow.
And so I was in the street too, but I never ran into her. And so when I came to the church, our connection was song, June Henderson is a song leader, which was also her Sunday school teacher going way back, right? And I didn't know him like that, but June knew my mother, kind of knew my family. I knew his other family that was in the streets. I knew his family then, but I didn't know him like that. So that's how we connected. And so just like she said, church service, sitting in service, and saw her come up and ask for prayer. And I didn't notice her long legs. I didn't notice her pretty eyes. None of that. I didn't notice, her skin tone and none of that stuff. I was just spiritual. And I just offered. It was all spiritual, I promise. And I just offered, if you ever want to talk, if you ever wanted to, sit down, chat, pray, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm good with it. And so that turned into like a few dates, walks in the park, talks, chats late at night. and that led to what is now, you know. And we were married in the first year.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a year. It wasn't even a year. Wasn't even a year. By the time I met her, to the time that we you know, proposed and accepted the proposal and went to the altar, was about 9 months, I think it was. Happened pretty quick, kind of synced like that in the spirit.
Yeah.
And I believe, and I think we were in a position where I was growing spiritually. She was also growing spiritually, although she had the advancement of being in the church way before me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a teenager. So we connected on that level. That's where we met at. And then the rest is history, like you say, yeah. And that was 35 years ago, you know.
Wow. So you had, so correct me if I'm wrong. So you had just got baptized 2-3 weeks in prior to you meeting her. And so you had already started evangelizing.
Has already started evangelizing. Yep. I kind of hit the ground running, man. And it had to be the Spirit of God, because there's something about, you know, my baptism took. Let me put it that way. Y'all know what I mean by baptism took?
Yeah. Yeah.
Baptism took. And I ended up doing some stuff that I didn't know how to do or what to do, but there was this energy and a power propelling me to do it. Like, I couldn't sleep unless I hollered at my friends about Jesus. You know what I mean? My weed smoking friends, my club friends, my club buddies, my street dudes. It was like I couldn't rest unless I got it off my chest. And so when I was baptized, it really took, and it wasn't like my life for real. And so the relationship with her was not like, you know, I saw her, you can't help but see her, you know, and how beautiful she is and was, tall, long legs, and all that other kind of stuff that come with that. Pretty eyes and nice skin tone and beautiful lips and beauty mark and the walk and all that kind of stuff. What were we talking about? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And but the crisis that she had at the time, the thing that brought her back to church, became the opportunity for us to connect, spiritually speaking, right? Mom and dad going through a divorce, tough for her because they'd never seen their parents apart from each other like that. So that was a tough. I didn't know what marriage was. And I didn't come from the culture from where I came from. I didn't come from a culture where people were married, period. You know what I mean?
Right.
Less known than have a father and a mother. So that was something new to me, and trying to help her walk through that was kind of difficult. And it was simple as being a shoulder to lean on, a voice, or a ear to listen to whatever it was, and a person who could pray. You know what I mean? And that's how we muddled through it, and we connected in the spirit, and then it took off from there.
Okay. So where are you guys originally from?
Delray Beach. Delray Beach.
Okay.
Delray Beach.
Okay, gotcha.
AKA Delray. Delray.
Okay.
Delray.
Yeah. That's a saying. Maybe you know.
Oh, okay. Delray.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all will tell me about that later, I guess. So, Sister Cynth, you ain't planned on marrying no preacher, did you?
No, not at all. Not at all. And he wasn't a preacher when I met him. He was more of a youth minister. I think right? That's what you were.
I grew into youth ministry.
I wasn't even youth minister. Yeah.
I wasn't even that when I met her. It was just a dude that just came into the church and took it kind of seriously. You know.
When did you word?
The other stuff came like later, youth ministry, you know, preaching and that stuff came later. But I was just a dude that got baptized into Christ. You know, was serious about it.
Because all I asked God for was a God-fearing man. So I wasn't specific that he had to be a minister or deacon, elder. I just wanted him to be God-fearing. And I wanted him to have some of my father's traits, which he does. A lot of my father's traits.
Nice. So when the decision to go into ministry came up, now that y'all have been married for some time or whatever, you have some kickback to that? Like, what was that like? That transition, and hey, I'm about to be senior. Like, what was that? What was that like going into that conversation, Laura?
Well, the ministry, going into ministry, that happened a little later. I think we were more like members when we were going to church. We was just faithful. We were doing ministry. We were on committees and so forth. But when he became a minister of his first church, that's when some of the challenges came, especially for me, than it did for him. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that, for her, and so we gonna get to a place where our marriage came to like a real breaking point.
Yeah.
But as long as we were like sitting members, coming to church kind of people, real cool. We married, go to church, and you raise the children in church. That's what we've been taught, right? And we came out the gate with like 2 kids. Alvin, first year, we had a newborn, and then the Algeria came about 3 years later.
3 years later.
3 years later. So regular church going people, and love doing it, because it was like, it was new for me, because that again didn't come from that culture of going to church with family. So we grew it. Ministry kind of grew on me. Let's say me first, because here's the problem, right? Here comes the problem. Ministry grew on me. I kind of gravitated, and I kind of matriculated, spiritually speaking, right? To the degree that my normal everyday Bible toting, hey fellas, let me holler at you. Here's some scripture, and yeah, I do communion. Yeah, I pray. Work with young people. Yeah, I do it. You know what I mean? I'm young. I know what it is, right? I'll do it. So ministry grew on me. At the same time, we married. So I'm becoming something, right? Under her nose. Under her nose, right? Right up under her nose. And so this thing is grabbing me, and it's taking me places, spiritually speaking, in terms of commitment, dedication to the Lord, right? So now that level of commitment is going higher and higher. I'm going into ministry now, like for real. Like I had no notion of becoming a preacher, for real.
Wow.
That's not mine. I didn't see it coming. Mama, daddy, no, none of that in my background. None of it. No granddaddy preacher, nobody in the church like that, right? I had a stepdaddy. He was kind of religious, right? But none of that in our backdrop. So now, so I'm growing into this under her nose, and I'm becoming more to people now. And remember, marriage is new, church is new too. Jesus is new. All of this is new, right? All this is new. So a lot of news, right? And so then a few years down the road, I become like a preacher, like a little preacher first, little preacher. I can bring a message, help out with the services and stuff like that. But then I go into like the first church, which was about 20 members. 20 members, man. Hey, I live around the corner from the church. I can walk to church from where we lived at. Our first house, second house, right around the corner. And hey, we look for a minister. You know what I mean? Yeah, I tried. But but people see in you what you don't see in yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
what church was this? What was the name of this first church?
It was Boca del Rey. Church of Christ. And it was my first church where I wasn't like a helping hand in the church, or an assistant, or an associate minister, right? Or a youth minister. It was a church where like you gonna be the preacher. You know what I mean?
Your practice church.
20. I don't know about practice.
Yeah, it was.
It was the inaugural church. Let's put it that way. And so boom, we are here, and what I do know how to do is just be faithful to God, right? That's all I know. I don't know nothing about church politics and none of that stuff. I just know baptize people, teach them, and preach the best way you can, and love on people, right? So now here comes the problem. Here's the problem, that while I'm trying to do marriage, I'm trying to do church. I'm doing more church than I'm doing marriage.
Mm.
Remember now, marriage kind of new, young. We trying to get our legs up on us, right? Because we don't know. I don't know what marriage is. You know, love a person, they love you back, you do things, you have children, and you pay bills, right? That's, you know, you get that off the Jeffersons. You know what I'm saying? A good time. You know what I mean? And but then, man, this church really sees me to the degree that, like, I'm really doing way more church than I'm doing home and marriage. We grew apart. You're talking about
And it came in different seasons.
different seasons.
So it didn't happen like that all of a sudden because we had children. So I was raising the children. I was home all the time with the children, taking them to school, bringing them home, doing their hair while he was doing more ministry. I worked in the church. I did my part as a wife, as a sister in Christ, but most of my love and attention was to my children. So he was gone a lot, preaching, teaching, visiting, and so forth while I was raising a kid. It wasn't a problem at first. It became heavy later on. It didn't happen immediately because I love ministry as well. Right? I love serving God's people. I learned that in the church from my godmother, Liz Spivey. I worked under her. I've always followed her and watched her because that's what she did. So I love helping seniors, elderly people, people that are less fortunate than ourselves. I love doing that. My hands is my gift. I work with my hands and my heart is where I have compassion. So I love that. And I love that about Alvin. I love that he loves God's people. I love that he loves working. We just had a problem with when to slow down and tend to each other. And that would happen in seasons. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we have each other and we're doing fine. But then some seasons, he has to be really, really busy. And sometimes I'm busy. But then when I get unbusy, I'm looking around like, where's he? You know, where's my husband? I need him. I'm feeling lonely and I'm feeling empty. So a lot of times, not a lot of times, but we go in seasons. And we just recently had a season, a real bad season.
So yeah. So going back to the Genesis, right? The Genesis was the test, right? Going back to book there, right? That when I say that was our major test and breakdown because we grew so far apart that we actually had to kind of reverse out of the church. It was like that bad. And when I say reverse out of the church, we found a nice way to leave because our marriage was such should I say a mess? Was it a mess? It was so tense and stressful between us, right? Because I didn't know how to not do what I was doing and work and hustle and do home. Home was like third place, I think it was, somewhere up in there, second or third place. Quite frankly, marriage was like down the line because I took it for granted. Because hey, we married. It's just gonna happen, right? And it don't just happen.
Right.
It's stuff you got to do. There's commitments that you got to make at home. There you got to pour into. You got to love. You got to spend time, quality time, right? There are things you got to do. Those things I took for granted, not necessarily her, because she saw marriage. I didn't see marriage. She came up in that kind of home, right? Where mom and dad, they married, they go in the bedroom, they spend time with their kid, they go to Disney World every year. That wasn't my backdrop. So it was more on me than it was her. I didn't know how to stop doing what I was doing to slow my roll and attend to home and to marriage. So she was suffering in terms of me being gone, doing ministry. And I'm gonna do it. We're gonna slow down, but slow down never came. So we had to reverse out of the church. Hey y'all, God is moving us to Georgia. Yeah, he moving us to Georgia. And because he moving us to Georgia. And like we ain't got no problems, but we had marital problems. So much so we didn't want to explode in front of the church people, right? So God gave us a little cover so that we can back out and kind of go to Georgia, get it together. And Georgia was the place like a proving ground, a growing place where we kind of synced a whole lot more spiritually speaking. We synced in ministry as well. It wasn't easy, but we got better at it because we had so many mistakes in the place that we were.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this, because what you're saying, that is definitely self-awareness. So how did you know that that's what needed to be done? Like you're saying this stuff now. You had to get to a point that you're saying this stuff now and admitting to this stuff now, which is saying stuff, but you know what I mean? Like this happened, what was really going on. The self-awareness, how important is that for you to recognize that, hey, something's wrong, something's not right here, and something needs to happen? And was it, who was the one that noticed, who was the one that initially said, hey, this needs to be dealt with, or was it something that you came to together?
This how we started. I told y'all, just let me do my thing like this right here. Just let me do this right here. I'm having fun. Just let me do my finger like this, right? So, so here's the saying. I don't know if y'all heard it, right? If you counsel marriage people, there's no problem in a marriage until the woman says something.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that.
Cause we good. You know what? Counseling for what? You know what I mean? For what? What's wrong? There's no problem until a woman says there's a problem. Well, the squeaky wheel was my wife. She was like, hey, slowly roll. Hey, where you at? Home, me, us. You know what I mean? And so hearing that in retro, and I was hard headed, real stubborn, right? Not stubborn in the sense that I was insensitive. I didn't know how to balance church and home. I just didn't know how to do it. I just didn't know how to do it. The call was so heavy that it was like God saying, sacrifice Isaac. I didn't agonize. Isaac, let's go. You got to go. You know what I mean? I ain't have to walk all night, smoke no cigarettes, and try to get it done. Isaac, you got to go. Because God said, let's do it. And you got to go. And so I had that mindset about the church. And that wasn't what God was asking me for. I just didn't know how to balance that out, And so the self-awareness came in retrospect. We can look back now, but we was fumbling and muddling through it, right? Okay, I'm gonna make the changes. Yeah, I'm gonna get it straight. I'm gonna spend more time. Yeah. But again, didn't know how to do it. The will was present, but how to perform it, I find not. Old wretched man that I am, who gonna get me to church? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yes, oh man, that's deep. That's
it's a lot of truth to what you said, because you said the woman or what have you. I was listening to the same guy, but I don't want to speak out of turn as far as that is concerned. But they were counseling, and they were asking questions. You know what I'm saying? From 1 to 10, what do you find marriage? 10 being good, 1 being terrible, whatever the case might have been. And the brother said, I think we were at an 8 or 9, 8, like an 8 or 9. And the question was asked to his wife. She said 3. And he's well into his word, much like yourself or whatever. And so he just didn't know. He just didn't have a clue, because he felt like he was doing what he knew how to do, which was preach and teach God's word or what have you. And so home will be home, because I'm married to this individual. It is what it is. But up until that point, that's when he knew he had to make an about face. Say, hey, listen, we got to make a change. Wife is not happy at the house.
right. And I saw that episode too, and he's talked about how that stunned him. And like it goes back to what you saying earlier. He didn't think he had a problem. But when somebody asks that question, you find out, oh, our numbers ain't the same. And
Publicly.
He was embarrassed about
very
it
much so,
because he had no clue. And so you're thinking, like you said, you're doing like what you are called to do, when the first calling is family is ministry in itself. The marriage and family is ministry in itself. So was there some guilt there, you would say? Like you can't go back and do redo any of it, but did you have a hard time? Like, how did you resolve that you had you went through that, and then you're here to this point? How did you get to this point where you understanding that change needs to be made, and how did you do it? But without feeling like you were neglecting the church now.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, good question, great question. It was pressure, really. It was pressure. I'm gonna call it pressure. Not necessarily guilt. I say pressure. The pressure of church, right? Do well, have a great ministry, and perform to the best of your ability, right? Be faithful unto death. You know what I mean? Those charges, right? That come from God, from Paul to Timothy, from Jesus to his disciples, right? And when you take those things seriously, they become a part of your paradigm, your thinking process, right? It's like, for God I live, for God I die.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else has to take second place. And without a balance, that's the recipe for disaster, right? So guilt, not necessarily; pressure, yes, because that felt like pressure, right? When she was saying, hey, we need to spend more time together, you need to be more present at home, right? Pressure. Hey, woman, I'm doing the will of God. You know what I mean? um I'm doing the will of God. She never tried to get in the way of ministry. I don't want to even try to give that impression, right? She never got in the way of ministry, but there was something that she needed, and then the pitch of that got higher and higher.
Mm-hmm.
So then when it got way up here, it was so loud that I didn't want the church to hear it, because they had something here. And what happened with us, here's some of the anecdotals. Some of the anecdotals was, I'm at the back door shaking hands after Sunday service. And normally she'll stand up with me and shake hands too. I'm shaking hands by myself because a service over and she out. She on the way home or sitting in the car, right? There's this disconnect from ministry, right? Because there's a deficit, if you will, right? And she's not good at pretending either, right? She don't do that. And so there's real deficit. And so I said, man, it's getting loud and loud. Like, hey, but then where's Sister Dane's at? She around here somewhere, I know she at the house already, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She left here as soon as we said amen, you know what I mean? And it's not that she was antisocial, but it was just, I was growing spiritually in the church in a way that was kind of leaving her behind. If that makes sense. Instead of bringing her along with me, we grow together, I'm skyrocketing. You know what I mean? And leaving a valuable piece and a part like behind is what happened. So for her, that felt like what?
Guilt. For me, it was guilty. I felt guilty saying something to Brother Daniels that I don't know. I didn't want to get in his way, and I've always said this. So now I know I need to slow down by saying that now. But I used to say, I don't need much. I'm independent. I'm not codependent. I have ministry. He have ministry. I'm pretty strong. I'm a pretty strong woman of God. I can take much. I can. So I trust him. I believe in him doing ministry. I love it that he's God-fearing. He loves God. He loves God's word. That's what attracted me to him in the first place. So I did not want to feel like that I was interfering with God's call on his life. But I also know that God would not put him in certain places or have him to overlook his marriage, because God loved marriage and not divorce. And I know that can quickly happen. Divorce can happen when you're not getting fed by your mate. So I will hold off, and I was just go through the motions and not tell him. I wanted him to feel it or to realize it. I didn't want to have to tell him, hey, I need you. I'd rather him know that I need him.
Yeah.
So that was difficult for me to do that, to say, hey, Alvin, I'm over here. I'm lonely. I'm this, I'm that. I wanted him to know when I was lonely or when I needed him.
And see, that disconnect for me was loving her, loving my family, love my children, breadwinner. We listen, we gonna eat. We gonna eat, we're gonna be sheltered, and everybody gonna dress nice, we're gonna look good, and we're gonna have what we need. I promise you, that's gonna happen, right? Whatever that takes, right? For me. But the intimate, spiritual, communicative connection are the things, the tools that I did not have. Because I felt like as long as, I'm coming home, breadwinner, roof over the head, I'm doing like the major 5 things. I got the 5 items without the spirit of those items. You feel what I'm saying? And so that's the part that I missed. And because of her spirit, it put me in a position to take advantage of that leeway. Understand what I'm saying? Like if she had been, hey, and I've been, what? But it wasn't like that. She like played it low, and so, okay, she cool, I'm cool too. Let me keep doing what I'm doing.
Right.
But that came as a disadvantage later on because I had used up the grace. I used up the grace and I took those things for granted, and I had to find a way to go back and redeem that, turn back around. Because listen, I didn't know what I didn't have. You can't know what you don't know until you don't know.
So you don't
know that you don't know it. And then when you know that you don't know, then you find out what it is. And now you know that you didn't know, and then you find no.
That's heavy. When you can run like that. Wow.
Yeah. And so those are the that's the stuff that, and those are the rough years for anybody that's in ministry, marriage period. Right. You go through that season. So watch this right here. Right. So the twain shall become one flesh, right? Becoming. That's contentious. That's intense. It's abrasive too. Because if you're trying to get 2 into 1, it's gonna be a squeeze. That's kind of tight.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's kind of tight. And it means that there's gonna be some schism, there's gonna be some abrasiveness, there's gonna be some collisions, right? But that's the process. And most people like back out of it, like, oh, this is too hard right here. But no, it's supposed to be like that because 2 are trying to become 1.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And that's where we were. The 2 were trying to become 1. My backdrop, her expectations, mine are different. What she used to, what I'm used to, how I flow, how she flow, they 2 different flows, right? So we had to find a way to sync in that period of time where we had to go through that, the headbutting, the arguments, we call them intense conversations now, the intense conversations and the sleeping on the sofa, fine. I too can play that game too. You know what I mean? That period of time is the time where you're really becoming 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I advise to any couple in ministry, not in ministry, that season is the best season ever. In retrospect, when you're going through it, don't feel like man, I'm out of here. I can't do this, right? But in retrospect, man, I'm glad we went through that because that's the thing that build your muscles for where you're going.
The sad part about it is that it's happening so often. Not sticking around, we don't have that to say, I'm glad we stuck around. It's more of, I'm just not going and I'm out of here. And then it's like, okay, everything you was trying to fight for to get them to do, whoever you get ready to get now, you get ready to go through it again. It's just inevitable,
And the beautiful thing about, you kept saying the seasons, seasons. We have spring, summer, winter, fall, all those good things that happen. As long as it didn't become a cycle.
Yes.
Cycles, we choose cycles, but the seasons come and go. You go through seasons, You follow what I'm saying? Just like right now up here, y'all down there warm in South Florida. What's the temperature down there? It's 30. It's 28 degrees right now.
Blizzard. It's blizzard here now. You're wrong
So,
question.
though.
What is this?
What is it, about 50 something out there now? Blizzard.
Out there.
But yeah, the beautiful thing you just kept saying was a season, and I know that comes with you. It seems like you've been preaching forever, though, Av. I mean, you talk about the story. You know, you just got baptized into the church at what, 21?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, 21. Yeah.
No word or nothing before then.
No, nothing. Went to church periodically with my stepdaddy when it was growing up. They lived in a different house. I lived with my mama. I had my stepdaddy. You know, he was a church going man. So whenever I spent the night with them, I went to church. But other than that, no church background like that.
That's hard for me to swallow, Doc. I mean, because you and your word, man.
Gifted.
It's definitely God, because I can't call it. It's definitely God. I can't call it.
You had a call on your life from a child.
So, brother Daniels, brother Alvin, help my young preachers, my older preachers. I don't know if it's too late for the older preachers or whatever, but so you found that being a public success, and let's call success, let's put the air quotes in, right? High demand, traveling, going this place, going that place, right? That is you, right? And like you said, you learned early on that you needed to balance that. Your wife gave you had some cues, you had some disconnect, right? How important is it for the private success, which is at the house, right? That we don't know about. Help my young aspiring ministers and just people in the ministry, help us all to understand how important that is to be, for the self-awareness, to see that disconnect is happening and to take the step to make the adjustment, right? So you've made the adjustment. You also had a wife that said something. Every wife, they may go in the shell like Sister Cent just said and not say anything at all. How can we help people that are probably really experiencing exactly what y'all talking about and probably sitting right now home watching and saying, oh my gosh, this is my life now. How can we help them to start that conversation?
Yeah, good question. There's a certain amount of humility and perspective that goes into it. Them two things, humility and perspective. Perspective is how you see it. It's kind of like look at it the right way first, right? And humility causes you to do right about it because you see it a certain kind of way. Perspective, right? So there's a lot of pressure for preachers, period. Like especially young preachers, because and it's like everything else. You go on a team, your job is to perform. You know, you want to add to the team. You know what I mean? You want to score the touchdown. You want to catch the pass, right? And because you associate success with performance, right? And so with that mindset, you go hard no matter what it takes, because people watching you. And by God, I'm gonna have a great church. It's gonna be a good church, and we're gonna have great ministry, right? We're gonna do good, right? Because people watching us. That's performance, right? And sometimes performance is disconnected from purpose. That might not be your purpose to perform like that. But sometimes we conflate performance with purpose. So the humility for preachers is that you have to be humble enough to listen to somebody like a coach, right? A coach. Because like a lot of the things that I learned the hard way. School of hard knocks, right? You know, and I always say to people, you can go to school two ways. You can go on the grant, or you can go on the tuition. You know, you get the same education, one you get for free, another one you pay for, you know, by experience, right? So the grant experience comes from other preachers who've been there, done that. Say, hey, man, here go the game right here. Don't do that. Don't neglect your family. Don't do that. I learned that the hard way. Ain't have nobody there to walk me through it. There's other thing too. There's the pride aspect of it. The pride aspect of it is that, you know, I got it. I know what I'm doing. I can handle this. No, you can't, right? And you got to be humble enough to know that you don't have it. And like the young folks say, don't got it. And you got to learn how to get it, be humble enough to get it from somebody else, right? So some of the things that we get caught up in is looking at other people saying, hey, I'm gonna be just like that. And you don't know what it took for that person to be there. That's behind the veil. And you running out there to try to become something that maybe God never intended for you, right? That's a fallacy. And that's a big mistake, right? And you're going to come back to the starting line too if you don't do it right the first time, right? It's like start over. So you never get down the line like you want to, even though you've been on the road for a long time. You was on your way to Orlando and you ain't get past West Palm Beach. You've been on the road a long time, but you never made the distance. Understand what I'm saying? So here's what I would tell preachers, older and younger preachers. It's a slow roll, right? And the perceived success of a minister, some of it is just illusion, right? It don't look as good as it is. It may not be as bad as it is, but it ain't as good as it look either, right? Don't get caught up, right? And not only that, but also in terms of ministry, here's my mistake. You cannot put the church before your family. Mistake. Setback. And let me tell you, we grew Boca del Rey to 130. We grew Boca del Rey to 131 year. We started with 20.
I thought it was 40.
We started with 20, 40?
40.
Might have been 40. People came back to the church. So we grew the church to 130. We had baptisms, crazy baptism. Church booming, right? Booming, right? But here's the problem. You get to my house, it don't look nothing like church. Nothing like church. Sad place at home, rejoicing at the church, right? Out of order, right? Because I failed to lay the foundation at home first, so that we can go ahead and have real success at church. So now I got to reverse out of church. I had to leave a church of 130 members, and most of them I baptized, right? All because the foundation wasn't right. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that do build it. You see? And that was my mistake. Learned that the hard way. And I would tell young preachers, man, get that house right first. Sink at home. Get a firm foundation. I advise people, if you ain't in ministry yet, don't go into ministry until you get marriage right. Ministry would tear up your marriage if you ain't solid.
You said it would tear up. Did you say tear up? It was a glitch.
Ministry would tear up marriage if marriage ain't solid, right? There's a reason, Fred, in the scripture, book of Deuteronomy, I think it's 32, 34, one of them, Marshall keep reading, where men could not go to war, they could not go on trips, they could not be in the military, they couldn't do none of those things for 1 year. So when Jesus come along, he says, call men to the banquet. And one guy said, I just got married, I can't come. That was a real thing. They didn't allow people who just got married to get out here in these streets. You can't do it. You had to go home, firm your foundation, sync with your wife, get your family together, get your firm foundation. Now you ready to go do something else. So we was doing something else and didn't have the proper foundation. So what happened? Everything that we was building on top of that foundation, the foundation cracked.
Shaky. Yeah.
And what did Jesus say about them foundation? What's that? Matthew chapter number 7, right? He's saying to mine.
That's right.
Do him not like a man that built his house on sand, right? Floods, the stuff gonna happen. Floods, condescend, floods came, winds blew, rains descended, beat upon the house, right?
Yeah.
All directions, right? Floods come up, winds blow from side to side, and rains come down. Every marriage is tested from all sides. You gotta handle flood, you gotta handle wind, you gotta handle rain, right? And if you can't handle them 3 things, you ain't got no business out there, right? And except you got that foundation right, you shouldn't even be doing ministry, because ministry will rip your marriage apart. We had a do or die situation. It was do or die, right? And so it was due for us, not die, because marriage ended up being important enough for us to leave the church right where it was. In love now. And let's go fix us. And then we'll come to church and see if we can do church better the next time.
Wow.
That's big.
That's huge.
That's big.
That is huge. That is huge. Oh my gosh. This is so good. I got 2 more questions. I got to get to this chat. This chat is on fire. Okay. I done glanced down at a couple. I got to this chat. I got 2 more questions. My first question was, so I want to come to you, Sister Daniels, in 1 second. Well, no, let me get to you first, and then I'm gonna cut back to church pains and things like that, and how that can affect ministry as well too, right? Sister Daniels, the way most people know church, the first lady in the church, what they think their idea of, we have our new minister coming that's actually here, and what I liked about what Brother Doug did, our senior minister right now, he told the church, listen, this first lady that we're about to get, we're going to let her way. We're going to let her determine and decide what it looks like for her to operate in this role. We're not going to come and put these demands and things like that. And I love that he said that, because his thing was, she has 2 kids, 2 young kids, and, you know, family is a ministry in itself first, you know, and so I love that he said that. We have these ideas of what we think the first lady should be doing, what she should look like, what she should dress like, and Sensational here is fabulous, right? She will come in with the blue hair, the silver hair, the red hair, and it's like, talk to my sisters who are struggling with people trying to make their identity match the idea of the mind that they have of what the first lady should be and appear and look like. Come on, let's touch on that, Sister Fabulous, because you have grown, you have come into your own here. And so I need you to talk about that. Come on, let's talk about it.
Yes. And there was a time when I struggled with my identity as First Lady. I really didn't like the term First Lady. I prefer the only lady. Not but I know God look at me as a Christian woman. All women are Christians. He don't have a certain idea of roles for a first lady. So I struggled because I knew certain part of the congregation expected me to look a certain way, with the big hats, 3-piece suits, all covered up to the neck, all the way down to the floor of my feet. So I had to struggle with that, because that was not me. So I went through a few years dealing with that identity part. I say, well, what is that? Why do I have to look this way? Why can't I be me? I was never comfortable in being something that someone else wanted me to be. I was only comfortable being in my own skin and who God made me to be, as long as I was still a Christian. I have my own identity, my own style. I've always loved fashion. So Once I took off the shackles that was on me, I was able to serve God better.
Mm-hmm.
Joy, peace. Didn't have that stuff over my head. Do I look okay for these people, for these sisters, for these brothers? Do I look okay? Do I look presentable? So I was always worrying about what people thought about me until one day I just stopped. I said, this is enough. I can't do it. I have to be me. As long as I'm loving, my heart is real. I love God's people. I love God first. If there's any error, I ask God to point it out to me. But I'm so happy that I can now be myself. I could wake up in the morning and say that I treated somebody right. It wasn't about my dress, my hair, what I wear, and so forth. Yes, I do have a degree of modesty. I have some modesty, but I kind of like have this fashion that I just don't want to be judged, but I know I'm being judged. So I can't help that. I can't help that other people judge me that way. I hate that they do, and I wish they wouldn't. They would just get to know me as a person. Yeah. So I hate that people have to put you in a box, this category, and say that this is who you're supposed to look like. If you're going to be a child of God, you're going to go to heaven, you got to wear a 3-piece suit and a hat. Okay, but that was not me. I just like wearing clothes, but fashionable clothes. So that's who I am.
And so along the lines with that, y'all are a really good looking couple, as we said in the beginning of the show. And you know, Brother Daniels, you up there and you just, the charisma, the way you bring the word. Of course, sometimes everybody in the audience ain't as spiritual as they should. You know, you get weak, you know, for the good that I would, I do not, and evil that I should not, that I do, right? And so you have some people that are gazing at your husband and vice versa. Y'all a good looking couple. And you'll have this, you'll have y'all dressed nice, but then you know, you take your Facebook pic and you know, you got your hand here, you turn to the side. I mean, it's GQ everywhere across the whole face of your relationship. It's beautiful. You look good on, y'all are good on the inside and out. Can you help the young sisters, Sister Daniels, Brother Daniels, help the young brothers, older, young, whoever, help somebody with how you stay grounded when you got them coming at you? How you stay grounded? How do you work out? Is there any let me pull this to the side and say something. We noticing this, we noticing that. You shaking my hand, you ain't shaking her. Come on, let's go right there. Let's get into that.
Amen. Baby, go ahead, baby.
Okay, all right. So we appreciate the compliment first and foremost. Thank you for the compliment. You know, we thank you. Glory to God. So, when we first got married, she was taking me to fashion school, like, hey, switch this up, switch that up. You know what I mean? And we joke about this now, but I think it'll make for a light moment. So her favorite dude before me was Prince. So when we first got married, we first started dating. So we would go shopping and she would go find all Prince outfits, you know what I mean? And say, you know, hey, put this on, wear this right here. I say, look, you know, I'm not gonna wear the pants with my backside out.
You wore it.
I'm not
with your back out. Stop now.
It was something. Come on now.
No, it wasn't.
All right.
No, it wasn't.
So
had the holes in the shirt.
So Fred, so it's certain thing I wasn't gonna wear. You know what I mean? It wasn't my style, but you know, I wear it at night. You know, not in public, like you know, yeah. So, so now let me get to your question.
Yes.
Let me get to your question before we get in trouble. So yes, love the dress. She loved the dress as well. How do we stay grounded? Is us being synced spiritually speaking, right? She helped me, I help her. There are certain things that we don't necessarily deal with as much as people think we do. Element, yeah, but not as much. Why? Because if you know me, I'm speaking from my perspective. If you know me, I'm pretty low key.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna put this the way Cleavon Matthews put it. I am extrovert by profession.
Mm-hmm.
I'm introvert by personality.
I like that.
Love people. I do. I really do. But I'm the guy that's gonna sit in the back, in the corner, not up front, not being seen, right? Although I'm seen all the time, right? I prefer the low road, and people call it popularity, celebrity, certain positive stuff that you can't help because it comes with the territory, right? It comes with the territory. But how do you manage that? You manage that by staying close, staying in proximity. You manage that by prayer, being spiritual, for real, being spiritual, being synced in the spirit, having that vertical relationship with God, right? Staying grounded and having the love relationship at the house where you have like everything that you need. You don't leave thirsty, you see, or even hungry, right?
Yeah.
Leave thirsty, you don't leave hungry. And the same thing for her as well, right? She's a beautiful woman, very attractive, right? Very attractive. And so there's a part of it, it's not grace as much as it is understanding. Like it's she, we had a no, let me not get it. No, I ain't doing that. No. We had Fred. Well, beautiful woman, right? But
Yeah.
she's composed though, very composed, beautiful, composed, and she know what it is. She know that she has watchers, right? It's on her to not send a hint or a clue that she's trying to be caught, or or thirsty, right?
Yeah.
Or trying to be, you know what I mean, whatever the case might be. That's on her. She does that well.
Right.
And in turn, I do the same thing too, right? Being composed, being balanced, right? And being spiritual, one with Christ to the best of my ability, and not send out the signals or the hints like, yeah, I'm trying to get caught up. Yeah, sure, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, right? That's the key to it, And the other part of it is something that we talked about actually before we came on. You know, there's a part of it that can't be helped in terms of how people see you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
How people see you can't help that. The only thing you can help is how you comport you.
That part.
Not how they see you, right? Right.
Yeah.
There is this um there is this, I want to say, expectation. I had a friend or two to ask me the question like, man, how you preach and you dress well and you look nice. How do you not, this, that, and the other, right? Say, it ain't as hard as it seems because people don't think that you can. They don't think you can. So there's this assumption that because you must be doing this too.
Correct.
People watch me, so I watch people watch me.
Correct.
And she do the same thing too. So if something passing by, somebody walking by, I'm not blind, but I know that you watching me to see what I'm gonna do too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that self-awareness, it makes you tired because you don't want to be doing all of that, right? You shouldn't have to do all that, but that's what you got to do. And it'll make you weary too, right? Because people watching you to see what you're gonna watch, see what you're gonna do, what you're gonna say. And there's testers too, right? Testers, right? Let me test. Let me test to see. Let me throw the bait in and see what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that happens too. So she has a spec you want to share too.
No, that's true. Oftentimes when he's gone a lot, I know too. I know women are not blind. I know the enemy, the devil is out there. They're going to try him. I know that. Men going to try me. He knows that. Correct.
Say something.
Hey, try Jesus. Don't try me.
Yeah. So yeah, it happens. But I think how we make that not be the case or not us fall for the devil's trap is that we talk about each other in public. We tell the public how much we love our wife or our husband. That helps. Not to say it's going to stop it, because you still got some, people out there still try you.
Some hawks.
Intriguing.
Yes, absolutely. So those are some of the things that we do to kind of get that to go in the other direction. I definitely, I don't play. I don't do that. I don't give them eye contact. I don't give them a reason to say I'm interested. I don't do it. I see it from them giving me a clue that they're interested.
Who is this now?
But give it back. So
hit me in the head.
Listen. But
so listen. So one of the things Kelly.
I'm talking too much.
One of the things, no, you just hit me in my head. One of the things that I do publicly, it don't matter where I go. Hey, Sister Daniels, my beloved wife, wish she could be if she's not there. Or if she's there, hey, I have my wife with me tonight, whatever the case might be, or today, whatever the case might be. Public adoration, respect, that goes a long way too, right? So even if she's not with me, she's still with me, right? Because I'm proclaiming and I am showing affirmation and love and appreciation for my wife, even if she's not present, right? So she hears about, man, your husband loves you so much. And he be talking about you all the time. Let her husband praise her at the gates, right? Proverbs chapter number 31. So I'm pretty good at that. And that's helpful too, right? That's helpful too. And then it's how you move. Y'all know I don't move in crowds. I don't, I'm kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not front and center like that, although I have to be front and center. And I get out of the way pretty quick. I'm very gregarious with people. Hey, how y'all doing? Y'all good? I'm good, pretty good with people. Then I'm out of the way. I ain't in people's face like that. And people don't stay in my face too long either, So I got a balance of it. And it's not as easy as it look, because you have to, keep it moving, right? Yeah. But it's something that's an art more than it is a science. Put it that way.
We appreciate that. We know you helping somebody. We're gonna get this last question. This has been so good. I know we over time, but what is over time? We helping people right now, Lord. So the name of our show tonight was Steady the Ships. I love you. You be having some good topics. Steady the ships, and I put ships in quotations because we talk about relationships, all of them, parent, daughter. Parent, child, husband, wife, frenemy, enemy, brother, sister,
fellowship,
right? Yeah. Fellowship, membership. We talking about all the ships, right? And so the last question for tonight, you've gone through a church shift before. Can you just help touch on that, how that, if it affected your marriage, your family, because we had a guest on went through some church pains before, and they had younger kids. And my question to them, you know, younger kids, they kind of don't know much, and they really don't have the choice and the decision to make, or hating the people who were their dad and their mom. But you all went through a church shift and raising the kids, and how did that affect your family? How did that affect, you know, because there's a human side, a human level, there's a spiritual level. So we're human, you still feel that. How did it affect all the relationships that you have? And that'll be our final question for tonight. Y'all speak on that, would you please?
Yeah. That's good.
Our children, you want to speak on that first?
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a few church shifts, right? And we shift by intentionality shifts. Painful processes, very, very painful. Some of the greatest pain, spiritual, emotional, or otherwise, that you ever experience, you experience around church. It's a real thing. You know what I mean? While we have like members who always talk about church. Nobody can speak on church hurt like preaching in his family. You just can't beat them. You can't articulate better than a preacher, his wife, and his family, and going through church stuff. And most people don't even have a clue as to what real church hurt is. People get mad about something. That's different. We have to take it and still preach, still teach, and still be 10 toes down family, and be embarrassed and still preach and teach. They can go to another church across the street, down the road. You know what I'm saying? So church hurt, very a human experience as well as a spiritual experience. And I think for us, that's one of those things that I was saying, that if you're not solid, church hurt, church shift, church breakup can break up a family too. It really can. It can test the fabric and the fiber and the metal of a marriage, right? Because while you're going through that, you also are going through stuff in your own home. That tension, that stress, you bring that back to the house. And sometimes you be duking it out at home because you don't know how to duke it out at church. So your brain, you ain't got nowhere to go, right? Because the church for a preacher is so attached to his home. It's hard, the distinction between the two things. Very difficult, right? You can make a separation, but it's very difficult, right? Because we be looking at compartmentalizing, well, the church over there and then we home over here. Preaching in his family, no, they one and the same. What's happening over there is flowing back over here. What's happening here is flowing back over there. I.e., we had to leave a church because we didn't want our home stuff to implode or explode at the church, right? That's how close it is, right? So when you go through that in your family, your kids, when you talk about kids, we had to share with our kids age appropriately, because we had, teenage son, middle daughter was like 12, and then a baby at 8. We had to explain to them age appropriately what was happening to us. Like, hey, so to the older boy, hey, son, we're going through a little season right here, a little tough time. Mom and dad are going through a little tough time, but it's going to be all right. We're going to have to make some shifts and move, because sometimes God be making you move, and he got different ways of getting you into another place, son. You understand that, son? Yeah, I get that, because we want to shield them. So
we
that
did.
we did
for a while until we got to our third church.
Yeah. And so you want to shield them and protect them so that they won't be bitter with the church. Like, man, y'all did my parents like this right here. What's wrong with y'all? I ain't never coming back to church. Middle daughter, same stuff, but on a different level. Baby girl, hey, baby girl, we about to move. God got us, moving. You know what I mean? No details, no color, none of that junk, because I don't want to mess my kids up like that. You know what I mean? And I don't want to sell them short either, where they're getting questions answered by somebody else. No, you're gonna get it from us, right? If you're asking a question, we're gonna give you an answer. If you ain't asking a question, it might not be worth the answer, because you can make much out of nothing. You can put something in their heart that wasn't even there. I don't know why you sharing that with me. Well, brothers So no, our kids stayed friends with people because we didn't create enemies.
We didn't create enemies.
Right.
Yes.
They stayed friends with people, and we ain't touch it. And it's the toughest thing to do. Like, no, we ain't gonna destroy their life, their friendships, because of all this other stuff that's going on. So hands off, right? Unless we had to address something, we wouldn't address it. And then because ultimately the spiritual part of it is that God is in control of everything. That's the that's the consolation that, hey, God is doing something way bigger. We may not be able to see it now, but later on you'll be able to connect the dots going back. You understand? Going back with connect the dots. And so for us, our marriage, right? And Sister Danes can talk about this. Listen, I had to get some help personally. Right? Why? Because when I came out of these church hurts, there's something in your spirit that comes out of you preaching. Right? You mad, gonna be preaching mad. You bitter, gonna be preaching bitter. You sad, preach sad. Right? You homicidal, you're gonna preach homicidal. Right? You're gonna be popping people from the pulpit. Pop, pop, pop. You know what I'm saying? And then you got these sermons that's rifle sermon, not buckshot, rifle.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about you. Yeah, I'm talking about you.
For a while.
I did it for a minute. I did it for a minute. So I had to get some personal healing.
Yeah, that's real.
That's a real thing. And then coming back to the house, like, what does this look like now? You know, what does this look like? Can I love? Can I be soft and gentle and kind at how we're dealing with all this pressure? And what's up, man? You know, where you at, baby? You okay? No. So take your temperature too, because she go through it in a whole nother different way. So it's not just the kids, it's us and how we vibing off each other and how we're trying to heal and lick wounds together, right? And getting past the stuff together that creates a whole nother dynamic even in the home. Because the church stuff can overshadow the home to where the marriage don't even feel like that. Because the church, you know, is putting so much pressure and hurt and leveraging so much impact on us as a marriage, as a family, right? And the embarrassment of that too, on top of that, right? And no matter how well you're trying to do it and how you're trying to tiptoe through the stuff, you're trying to salvage the church, and it don't matter sometimes to other people, but you have to hold it down and take stuff, right? That you can put it on blast if you want. You can blow the whole thing up. Like, man, let me throw a grenade, blow the whole thing up. But you resist that because there's something about God, his will, and the church being bigger than us that cause us to fall back and let God handle that. And so it's one of the toughest things. There's no cookie cutter for it. I don't know if there's a book that you can read on this. I think you just have to go through it with the grace that God gives to you, right? You want to jump in there?
Yeah, absolutely. And what Alvin used to do is shield me from everything that he was going through. So I had no idea what he was going through until he went to go get some help. And then he came back and shared with me what he learned from his therapy. And then he started sharing with me what he was going through. So then I felt a connection with him. After he started sharing with me what he was going through, I felt connected. Before I felt distance from him with the church hurt. I was going through my stuff too with the church hurt, and he was going through his stuff. But he kept his stuff to himself because he didn't want to burden me with what he was going through. But you know, I'm his helpmeet. So he's supposed to share that with me so we can go through this together. But he learned otherwise that he wished he had shared with me early on. And maybe it could have been a lot smoother. And he wouldn't feel that he was going through this battle by himself. But I kind of felt like not a part of his life because he was going through all of this and not sharing it with me. So I'll know what to pray about had he shared that with me.
Correct.
Come on.
Yeah. So protector sometimes is the insulator too. So you can insulate to a fault.
Yeah.
Correct.
Does that make sense, y'all? Insulate so far.
Yes, it
Like,
does.
I'm the dude, like, I'm gonna take all the hits. You might not even know what's really going on until it blow up.
Right.
That's
That's what I
fallacy.
do.
That's fallacy. So you learn, okay, man, this thing ain't been going well for a while. Why? Because I wanted her to be cute. I want her to come to church with no issues, just like my kids, just like my.
Yeah.
I want them to come to church with no issue. I want my wife with no grimace on her
Looking
face.
at people
I don't want to
different,
turn
weird,
in gray.
yeah.
I don't want to looking at no member sideways. I want her to be as pure as she could. And whatever that took me, I'll take the hit. But you can take so many hits till you go down, right? Go down in flames, and then people trying to ask what's wrong with you. Now you got to go back and say, "Oh, this is what you've been did. If you had shared this with me, I could have helped you with that." And I'm strong you thought I was
Yeah,
too.
I was much stronger than you thought I was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, Daniels. Listen, Daniels. Y'all blessed me tonight. We let people go. This chat has been going off. We have talked. Man, listen. Look, our booker just sent the emoji, hands clapping, they clapping their hands, they 100%. This chat is going off. Y'all take some time and y'all go and y'all read this chat when y'all get a chance, because these people had something to say. I'm just ready to shoot. We got to get out of here. We got to get to the Neil's appeal for the people. One said, oh, this sister, Saunders Gatson, this she said, she called you her preacher, right? She said it's never too late for the older. That's when I said it might be too late for the older preachers or whatever, when I asked you help that. Sister Ira Booker said, young preachers, there must be a balance. Don't be so focused on saving the church that you lose your family. Joy Raspberry said, the honesty, authenticity, and vulnerability speaks volumes. Every saint and sinner needs to hear this segment of learning how to navigate the challenging terrains of marriage/relationships. Mario, hey, Rio is watching. We got Nikhil said they're not teaching that. I had a preacher say, if you don't have what you need, you're not working hard enough. Wow. Don't be so caught up in making a name for yourself in the brotherhood that your family doesn't have who you are. Wow. That's our book. That's more wisdom right there. Yeah. That was our ministry care of a marriage. If it's not solid, listen, I can't. It's too much. It's too much. I can't do it. Y'all gonna have to go back. I get to the Hills Appeal. I'm doing a 30-day challenge, Brother Daniels, Sister Daniels. I don't know if y'all know about it. It's the I'm doing the 30 days best version of me, right? Because I can't serve Fred right or my church community right or anybody right if I don't serve myself right. I got to get myself together. That's right. Good. So I'm doing a 30-day best version of me, right? Because a lot of times we develop these philosophies and different things from the pains and the experiences and the exposures that we've had in our lives, and we make these, well, I ain't doing this no more. I ain't gonna be like that no more. And for us to have that checklist of things, he wants us to become that person that he intended for us to be. And so part of the reason why we're doing this show is to help these just people, relationships, like you say, steady the ships, right? Help everyone to come to the understanding that you don't have to be like how you are. Just because you grew up, and all roads lead back to childhood, something that done happened in childhood. One of my guests said, I love that. So this challenge comes from our last guest that we had on when we asked what the Neil's Appeal was going to be. And they were talking about how they went through the pains of their marriage. And that's one thing that they had self-awareness and said, listen, we're going to do 30 days. We're not going to do 30 days, give ourselves the best version of each other, right? And so I'm in that challenge right now for the week, going to be posting every day for 30 days, telling my journey, what I'm learning, what I'm doing, working on my spiritual, emotional, relational, and leadership intelligence, right? Because those things, I like to run everything through that. So I'm not emotional as I'm making decisions, right? And things like that. And so we talked about a lot of stuff tonight. I need y'all to pick out the most important thing that you want to leave the Neil's appeal. We're appealing to people in relationships, right? Whatever you want to talk about that you think we can work on along with this 30-day, right? Mm-hmm. What can we leave our viewers tonight to work on until the Neil's appeal meets again? Pick out something that you talked about that you think is so vital, so important, that would help, something, through y'all's experiences that you think will help our viewers, and that we can appeal to people in general to do.
Okay. Well, this is simple devotion, daily devotion. I think, I believe married couples, should have daily devotions together. I believe if they keep that up in communication, transparency every day, I believe this will strengthen the marriage and their friendship.
Yeah. So 30 days of devotion. Right? Husband and wife devotion will help. One of the things that I try to recommend to couples that I counsel with, whether it be premarital counseling, whether it be marital counseling, is to do devotion together. It's a sure way of sinking in the spirit. And a lot of times we deal with financial stuff, we deal with communicative stuff, we deal with a lot of other issues in the home, but the nexus of all of those things is really in the spirit. So spiritual devotion, Bible study together, devotion is a sure way of sinking in those other areas by starting in the spirit first. Sometimes we come back to the spirit because we think we got all this together first financially. Let's get this together. Let's talk. Now get the spirit straight, and the spirit will be the power to deal with all those other things, right? And not the reverse. We put the spirit last when we should put the spirit first. And if we do that for 30 days, spiritually speaking, I would challenge, that would be my challenge. The Neil's appeal is to do marital devotions for 30 days straight. It can be 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Pray, sing, read the word, get an understanding, close the book, go do it the next day. It'll work wonders. I promise.
Wow. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Neil's appeal for the week, 2 weeks, whatever. No, it ain't even the week. It's a 30-day challenge to add on to what you're already doing. Just do it together now, right? Because if you're being a better version of yourself, you're already doing the devotion, right? And so now you can just add your spouse to it and do it together. And so we have the Neil's appeal for the next 30 days. We want to just thank so much Alvin and Sensational Daniels for coming and sharing some wisdom, some insight for our listeners, for ourselves. You definitely have blessed me and helped me on this evening. And I thank you so much for taking this time out to come to sit on your couch and open up your house and open up your heart and let us in, because I believe transparency helps with transformation.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
You got something?
I mean, I'm just appalled. I'm still just gathering all this. It's like Daniel's. I use the illustration of Jesus. He only walked the earth for 3 years, and he was teaching and all these things or whatever. And so Daniel seemed like he'd been in the Word since he was a toddler, man. I mean, the way that you
he's still on that.
I'm serious, man. You got
he catch none of the other stuff. He's still back there.
No, I caught it wrong, Doc. I'm just amazed, man. I mean, it's just goes to show you, I'm saying, the favor of God. I mean, it's just not for everybody. You got some guys that hate on your swag, let alone your word, man. I mean, if I had the wisdom that you had, Doc, I mean, I don't know where I'd be, man, but I'm at the same token. So yeah, I'm just appalled, man, by your, good looking dude, man. You got a beautiful wife, and y'all doing your thing, man. I mean, sensational. Do you, be you. Nobody can beat you at being sensational. So keep doing what you do. I mean, I like it. I mean, I know your husband love it. I mean, he talks about it all the time. So
he said who that was now, who that was. Y'all, we gotta get out. The people got to go to bed. We got to get out of here.
Thank y'all for the opportunity. Thank you for what you're doing. This is a blessing. We done caught all the other episodes. We done been on checking it out. And Glenn, you had some powerful guests on. Thank you for including us, even asking us to come through. We've been at it trying to get it together, but we finally made it. We just love y'all to pieces. May God bless you in your ministry, and may He continue to show you explosive favor in all that you do. Honey, thank you for coming on with us tonight. Love you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Love you.
I love you more.
No, I doubt that.
Oh, you can't doubt my love.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for sharing. We love y'all.
Love you too.
Okay.
Good night.
Okay, good night.